People are broke and now there's proof showing up in the numbers.
Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So in today's video, we'll be talking about a lot of Americans are broke. So I'll put stitches together so that you watch. I'll be back to share my reasons.
People are broke and now there's proof showing up in the numbers. Kellogg's reported an 8.6% drop in cereal sales. Crocs pulled its entire financial forecast. Heineken says people are drinking less. And even global giants like Nestle are seeing sales fall across the board. And what's scary about this, it's not about cutting luxuries. People are walking away from everyday items. Candy, snacks, fast food, takeout. Last Saturday, I went for lunch at a popular restaurant. Usually packed at noon, we expected a wait. Instead, we were just a handful of people there. Because consumers are cutting back hardest on items that bring joy. Chips, chocolate, going out to dinner. Not because they want to, because simply they don't have the fucking money. And companies know it. Forecasts are being pulled. Behind the scenes, they see the truth. Demand just isn't slowing. It's fucking collapsing. After 5 brutal years, Americans are barely hanging on. And now the administration slaps tariffs on top of it. It's like throwing gasoline on an already burning house. These families are one missed paycheck away from financial collapse. Americans aren't tightening belts anymore. They've run out of fucking notches.
People don't understand how truly poor the American South is. I moved from Tennessee to California about 4 years ago, and I'm still paying for it now. We just don't have the money to move, and so I don't really meet a lot of people from Tennessee out here. The closest I find are really people from Ohio, and so now I'm a Browns fan. But I bring that up because that's an important component in understanding the political divide. It has taken a lot for me to understand that social programs are there for me to use them because for most of my life, there was not enough to go around. I remember the first time I went to a food bank and they gave me an onion, I actually cried. And not like onion cried, but cried because it wasn't required food. It was flavor, and that was a luxury I couldn't really ever afford. And then I learned that they had like taco seasoning, and oh my God, it was amazing. But when you're used to getting by on so little, and the only security you really feel you have is the ability to make a dollar stretch, it is scary to ask for help. And you wonder who you're taking it away from. So when people take aid when they're destitute as opposed to like nearly, I think people can jump into judgment because they probably need the aid just as much as the person who received it, and they're scared it won't be there when they're long past needing it. And guys, there's enough to go around.
I don't understand why people are homeless. Just like, get a job. Okay, where would you like them to find job applications? Places generally don't accept paper applications anymore. They'll just refer you online. What if I don't have a device that connects to the internet? What if I have a smartphone but I can't afford a data plan? What if I am able to make it to a McDonald's or a library to start filling out the application? What do I put down for an address? These all just sound like excuses. Like, really, it's not that hard to find a job. I really don't know if that's true. When I was applying to jobs, it wasn't until application about 45 that I even got an interview. It took over 50 applications for me to land a new job. I know someone who has a master's and applied to 80 different jobs and didn't get any of them. Well, you just need to find a job that's hiring immediately. Like, go to a retail place, find a minimum wage job. It's not that hard. Let's say by some chance I am able to find a job. I get a minimum wage job. I show up on the first day. My clothes likely aren't going to be clean. I'm probably not going to be clean because I may not have access to running water. I may not have hygiene products. I may not be able to afford to bring my clothes to a laundromat. If you were an employer, would you be very happy if your new employee showed up on their first day kind of dirty with wrinkled and dirty clothes? Probably not. Go work a construction job or something where they don't care what you look like. Even if we completely skip over the application process, the interview process, if we assume that any job I apply to is automatically going to accept me, if we skip over providing the necessary documentation to show that I am legally authorized to work in this country, and those documents aren't cheap, we still have problems. Like, how am I getting to and from work? If I'm not well rested, am I going to be able to perform at my job? And if I'm doing something like construction, that's going to be incredibly dangerous to not be well rested. Let alone food. Am I able to afford food throughout the work week? Am I going to be able to do my work if I'm starving? Probably not. Okay, but no, let's keep going. Even if I do get this hypothetical job, when is my first paycheck going to be? At my current job, I get paid monthly, and it took about 4 weeks for my first paycheck. Can I afford to live that long without a paycheck? For the sake of argument, let's say that I get paid bi-weekly and I start at the beginning of a pay period. So my first paycheck is a full 80 hours. At minimum wage, that's still less than $600 before taxes come out. And apartments, you're probably not going to be able to find a studio, a one bedroom. You're going to have roommates. And before you can even get to that point, you're going to need the application fee. You're going to need 2 months of rent so you can cover the security deposit. Like, you can't just... That's not how this works. Anyways, if anyone is interested in helping an unhoused couple in Story County, Iowa, details in the comments.
Sometimes I wonder if our country thinks that poor people should just die. I say this because our federal minimum wage is $7.25, and even though in a lot of states it's higher than that, right? Like, for example, I'm from New York City and it's $16.50 right now. Even with that, you would be living in poverty. And I don't think it's crazy to think that people who work minimum wage jobs should not be living at the poverty line. And then they tell the poor to go to college so you don't end up in a minimum wage job. So you go to college, you take out thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And then you work a minimum wage job throughout college to pay for it and interest, right? And then you get out of college even more in debt than you were prior. And then best case scenario, you do get a job straight out of college and then you spend 20 plus years paying it back. Yeah, that definitely does sound like the American dream, and I cannot wait to continue living it.
Well, folk, the mission to make Americans poor again is going great. Because new on the chopping block is Job Corps, or Job Corps. They just shut down, or they're shutting down all their locations because their funding is gone. It's been zapped away from them. So now teachers are out of a job, so unemployment is on a rise. That is probably the most successful part. And those students, they're homeless. What would we do without this administration? What would we do without them? We're on our way to poverty. And we only have this administration and DJT to thank for that. Oh, let's not leave out all of the ones that voted for him. You guys did a great job. Poverty. Oh, but the billionaires, the millionaires, their money is still flowing because they're taking it from you. That's so crazy.
I get a lot of people asking me why people prefer to sleep on the streets rather than sleep in shelters, especially in New York City where we have the right to shelter law. I'm going to explain it right now. So shelters are not safe havens. Shelters are centers of violence, abuse, and they're dehumanizing. And the treatment you receive there is absolutely horrible. I don't know how else to say it. You frequently get treated like you're subhuman and everyone who works there is above you. They look down on you for being homeless and treat you as though losing housing is a moral failure. There are so many cases of abuse and violence in shelters, and not just from other residents, but from guards and upper management, the people who are supposed to protect us and be there for us. Who do you report these cases of abuse and management to when it's the people you're supposed to be reporting to who are the perpetrators? I witnessed a guard beat a resident over the head with a bat, beat him to the point where he is in a coma, and he got kicked out of the shelter, and the guard is still working here, still has his job. How am I supposed to trust that that guard is there to protect me when I saw him beat the living lights out of someone with a baseball bat, and he's back to work the next day, and the kid is in a coma and kicked out of the shelter? And if you think that's an isolated incident, it's not. It happens all the time. There's multiple cases of SA and assault, not just from guards, but also upper management against residents. We're scared of the people who are supposed to be here protecting us. And all of the homeless budget that we get, it all goes in the pockets of the people and the upper management. The residents rarely see any of that budget. These guards and everybody are supposed to be here to protect us, but who is going to protect us from the guards and the people who are supposed to be protecting us? We need protection from them. I don't feel safe here. I don't feel comfortable here. Because the way the staff treats you and looks down on you and the dehumanization that occurs here is absolutely insane. The abuse and violence that I have to witness on a daily basis is traumatic for someone who already has CPTSD and extreme mental health issues. Not to mention, shelters are inaccessible for people with mental health issues or disabilities. For example, we just had a room check done. They do random room checks. They're allowed to enter your room whenever they want, and you don't have to be here to let them in either. So they're allowed to come in your room whenever they want, whether you're here or not, and then go apart and go through everything in your room. I was doing my makeup, so this is a little messy. So yeah, our room isn't spotless, but it's lived in. And when you have a random room check, you never know when they're gonna come, so you can't prepare and clean.
Not to mention
So they just picked apart every part of our room and told us how disgusting and despicable it is that we're living like this. But we didn't even know they were coming to clean. So this is just a lived in.
Hello, it's Anita here, your new favorite financial expert, and on this page we're going to be talking about all things financial literacy. Why do 95% of Americans end up poor, and how can we fix it? Did you know that 95% of Americans will retire broke and start depending on someone else? Do you know that it's not about how much you make, but what you don't know that is keeping you poor? For a very long time, the middle class have been miseducated financially. We are taught to work really hard. We are taught to get a good job. We are taught to rely on 401k. We are also taught to save money in the bank. But guess what nobody teaches us? No one teaches us how money actually works. But here's what they never taught us at school. Saving money in banks loses value over time due to inflation. They never also teach us that taxes can eat away your retirement savings. You know what we also don't know? That most people don't have proper protection when they get injured or sick. Most of us are also not aware that debt, student loans, consumer spending keeps family trapped in a circle for the rest of their lives. Would you like to change that circle? Here's how to start. Number 1, protect your income first before you invest. Number 2, learn how to grow your income tax-free and risk protected. Number 3, very important, learn how life insurance can be used as a living benefit and not just a debt protection. Very important. Number 4, build generational wealth through proper financial education. Send me a DM. Let's talk about how to truly set yourself up and your family for financial freedom. Also, comment fix it if you're truly ready to take back control over your finances.
Yeah, I don't know what this means for America. I don't know if this means another world war or civil war, but I just wanted to notify you that 11 countries have stopped using the American dollar, literally. So if you have money in the banks, if you have 401ks, you better pull them out now because the world is stopped.
So that's the video, guys. I'm just here also to share my true sense, like what I think about today's video. Most of the Americans are broke in 2025. Okay, so there are many reasons why Americans are broke at this point. The first one is there is no, like, people are not hiring, people don't have jobs, so they don't have where to get the money. Like, there is no money coming in for them, so they're just living in the survival mode. So they're just trying to live at this point. They don't know what to pay for rent, what to eat at that particular day. Like, people are really suffering at this point. Okay, and mostly people are coming out on TikTok just to say the truth that the minimum wages are not really adding up at this point, because when you look at rent prices, okay, the rent prices are going up, and the minimum wages are just stagnant like that. So if you are getting 1500 in 2024, in 2025 you're still getting the 1500 and your rent is 900, and your landlord come and tell you that no, I've increased the rent, you're now going to be paying one like 1200. So what are you going to do as a person? Like, how are you going to pay your groceries? How are you going to pay for your gas? How are you going to pay for water? How are you going to pay for all these things? So most of the people at this point, they are working but too broke. Some of these people are even working 2 jobs, surprisingly, but still they're just managing with this money to just pay rent. Okay, they're just trying to do all these things to survive at this moment. Like, yeah, people are even coming out on TikTok, like they've stopped doing all these luxury things, like maybe going to a nail tech, do your nails, buy nice hair. People are just buying things which are important at this point, like only things which are important. We only need food. People have even stopped buying clothes. Okay, all these things they've stopped. They're just getting things which will just sustain a family. And I watched a certain video which this woman said it's a their family of 4, and they spend about 1700 to buy food for the whole month. And when they remember back then, they used to spend like $400 to buy food for the whole month, $300. But now they can't rely on that. For them to finish for the whole month, they need 1,700. So like the economy is crazy. Okay. And recessions, it's still, there are a lot of indicators, as we can see at this point, that we are in recession. Okay, because people are not even people have stopped even eating out. People are not even eating out. A lot of people, they're just going to cook at their places and eat there. Okay, like eating out is luxury for them. Like it's really luxury. Yeah. And other people, they don't even, people are in the streets, people are in the streets, they don't have a roof on their head. This is to show people are really broke up to zero, because they don't even have money to pay rent or their roof. They're just in the street there trying to survive. Others are living in their cars. This shows how broke people are at this point, because they can't even afford to pay rent also. Like it's really crazy, guys. Life is has become so tough for people, and people have lost hope. Like they don't even know what to do. And you know, when you get into them in the streets, it's really hard for people just to come out from there. But I've seen a lot of videos, thank God. Some of these people, they say that living in cars, but they're saving to pay for the roof on their head. And the most heartbreaking videos I've ever seen is those people with kids in the cars, because it's not even safe. Okay, they are parked at outside shops and all these things. Like they're not really safe. Like I've also watched another video where this woman used to post about how she's living with her kids, and they heard that that woman was called by the police, and the police come to pick her up, because she's not supposed to be living with the kids. The kids are in danger in the car, which, you know, so it's really crazy. People are already going through a lot with the brokenness, and again the police come and add all these things. It's really sad, guys. It's really sad to be going all these things. And it only seems simple when you're not going through it, but if you're the one in the situation, it's really hard. Like you can even start losing your mind. Trust me, you lose your mind. And I always sympathize with these people, like one day to be okay, because we take one day at a time. You can be low, and later it will be your story. Like you have to try to work hard. I know you're already working hard, but yeah. It's really crazy. And the crazy part is, I just saw other videos where these people who are in the street are even working, okay, but their jobs, they can't even pay rent. Imagine. And people have lost a lot of things they've lost a lot of things, like their cars, because they didn't manage to pay rent, so they got all these things from them. That's how crazy life has been. People are just starting from one again. They're starting from one. Okay, you understand what I mean? They're starting from zero, which is not great. So I don't know where we are heading. Where we're heading at this point is so scary. Yeah, so but yeah, it'll be well. It'll be well. So thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in my next episodes. Bye.